Let me have a taste. Don't throw it out. Let me have a taste.
There, no, it's streaming. Still a cable from
No, where?
your keys are printer in the back or whatever that printer in the back. I borrowed the network cable from it. I left mine at home. So I'll put it back when I'm done.
Don't be telling me, Dad.
Yeah. I just wanted you to know that don't freak out.
I would.
Well, it's close to
calling
time.
Susie and say, Susie, my printer's not printing.
No, I borrowed the cable from it so that I can plug directly in. Otherwise, I could disconnect it all the time. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Hey, is this for class coming up?
Yeah. No, this is for the meeting
Oh, on Saturday.
on Saturdays.
Yeah.
For the big meeting.
That's right.
Are you going?
Yeah, I got a vote.
That's what I thought. You probably would be one of them.
Yeah.
Yes. See you.
Mr. Rick.
Hey,
How are you, sir?
What's up?
How are you?
Good.
Happy New Year.
You too, man.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
How have you been?
Good.
Good. Glad to hear it. I was instructed to come down here and see if the beer was still good.
Yeah, it's good and dented yet cold.
Did you
Oh,
guys-
that beer there, yeah. Just one of the gals came down and it tastes like beer.
It smells like beer.
Better not step in it.
It's cold like beer.
You know, the old Cheech and Chong thing. Ooh, better not step in it.
Don't step in it. I don't know who was saying it's not good anymore.
Well, that handle was broken for like a month or so.
Oh. Say it's cold. It's
Okay,
good.
I got to sign up.
What?
Got to sign up. Social downstairs.
Is it
Crazy.
that handwritten, scrawled piece of crap?
No, I put it on. Yes, I did. I put it on yellow paper though below that.
Good.
You won't really read.
Yeah,
Boy, that entryway coming off of 6 is slicker than snot out there.
it's dangerous
Yeah.
everywhere.
Every-
And then
I mean,
it starts to rain.
I've got these
No.
big boots, okay? I mean, these things got some knobby grips on them, and the
Nothing.
sorrels are slipping too.
Yeah.
I had to buy. Lori and I walked to a movie on Sunday at the Myrna.
Oh wow.
And we saw the movie The Ballad of Lefty Brown. It's pretty interesting.
Was it?
Oh, is that that one that they filmed here
Yeah.
in Montana?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I saw the advertisement for
Yeah.
that.
It was if you like westerns, you probably like it. It was okay.
It's like a Revenant in a way.
No, not like that.
Yeah.
And getting down there, we almost died. We met one of our buddies down there, and he brought us like spikes for our shoes to get back up.
Oh.
They're like the serious business spikes.
Uh,
That
last
worked.
last winter,
What's it
all
though?
the cars slid out of the Cogswell parking lot for the second time that I've seen
All
it
the
in 20
cars?
years. Not all of them, just the ones on the hill that were parked.
They just slid out.
Yeah, you park your car and then it goes like this.
Do they run into each other?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Do it
no.
with Sanders too. If you park up on that one.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant, Sanders Cogswell.
Yeah, they slide down, crash
Yeah.
into each other. Happens every year.
Freezing rain.
That's what we're getting tonight. Can't wait.
Said nobody ever.
You feel for a beer? Oh.
Huh?
You want a beer?
No, I don't drink beer.
No. Thank you. We have one.
No. Beer's got gluten in it, it makes me sick.
Again, 4 o'clock. So you need to leave it up at 4 o'clock. Exhausted.
I'm tired. So how are things in your area?
Me? People are frustrated.
Yeah.
One person in particular.
For what? Why?
Greg, I wholeheartedly invited him here. He's just upset with the way shit's going.
I thought it was going, everyone had their jobs.
Yeah, well, there was some shit that came up. Lawrence Marshall and Dennis Brody lost their jobs by being forced out. Did Jill talk to you about that? They were take it or leave it, lose $3,000 in your wages or goodbye.
And who
And,
are they?
And now management is saying, no, yeah, they were forced into it. And then,
Are they members?
yes,
Yeah.
they didn't come to
It's
us.
in the jail.
They did not come to us. Robin talked directly to Dennis Brody. And,
I saw it on the list, but I thought they retired.
Well, yeah, they were marked as retired.
Yeah, she was great. This is, she wants to really get involved. I know, she says she wants to get involved right now.
Yeah, this software is pretty cool. I can make different scenes.
She signed up for.
There you go.
Yeah, this switch. It's got like about a 30-40 second delay.
Oh. What's that software?
OBS.
Oh, this, social.
See, you come here and you get a t-shirt. You
That
work.
one she wants to talk to you about.
Cool. Where's the wifey?
She went home, she's a dog.
So you guys went and
Do
ate?
you want something to write down in the email?
The old Mexican food, but they're still
Yeah,
not
I apologize, I have been
Malakis?
trying to call you, but I keep calling the wrong number.
The one that you can't
Oh my
spell?
God.
Yeah, the one that you can't spell.
spell.
Did they get deported again?
Hey, babe.
I know, I'm going out.
She complained to Dallas. Complained to June. Oh my God. She told me what happened. I just treat me out. I know.
I'm used to being blown
No,
out.
no, I am like, I don't really.
You know what to do.
I don't know.
I got
You got it? Yeah, this one's in, this one is.
Perfect.
At least I got out
Happy holidays. This is really, she's revenue. This is Jane and she. Wow. No, I should.
She did, she said that.
Guess what?
In that tone of voice.
Guess what? I heard what you said the first two days. The third time. It was not much. Had it been.
It looks like such a lot. That's all that is you're talking about.
That's all it is.
I'm sure it's like years ago. This way.
She said, "Someone's coming from mine."
One.
Yeah,
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How
Got
are
my
you?
email?
Yeah, I know.
Good.
Because I've been encouraged.
Casey, you want some of these?
No,
Oh,
grapefruit, grapefruit. I just had tacos.
Water, but nobody.
Oh, okay, sounds good.
It's 5:10.
Your mom is upstairs. Yeah, I invite her.
Most of the people in the office are.
She was one of like when we talked on the phone.
Daryl is
Saying
in the
that
same class.
you guys really should take some each other local every day. Cheryl did this, we had a lot of better shape, so.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's do a class training.
Smaller.
So I gotta send out another sample just over.
No, I haven't looked anymore for it. I didn't. I was sitting there.
Hey, go out to Facebook and go to those notifications. It says yeah, it's got a link to it on, or just go to YouTube.
You know where this is?
Yep. Now we're online right now.
And then by the time this thing starts, oh, there won't be, no, I can't ride the bike.
Okay.
Oh,
Cool, right?
On the paper one comes and then it kind of goes into the.
As soon as we go
Because that's the
to so.
Friday.
No, you're good.
Friday.
I'm sure, man.
It's okay.
There's a
11 to 3.
you can use this mouse or you can use the other mouse or whatever. And then here's your next slide. And remember, there's about a 30-second delay. But it should be instantaneous on this because I'm already broadcasting this.
I didn't know that I'm weirdly not surprised.
Oh, I'm gonna break
Bubble wrap would be a good present for everybody right now.
Is that blue button on? Is that blue line on?
Yeah.
Eleven to 3 Saturday?
Yeah.
And.
Not the Great Northern.
What time you showing up?
Probably getting there about 10:30
Where's the great one at?
downtown. It's
Talk to
Silver Star
It's hard.
and the hotel.
Yeah, so next Friday.
Okay, 26th.
What's the attire?
Tony's.
Casual.
Yeah.
Just throw yourself down the line.
Business casual?
Very casual.
I'm wearing my MEIMF t-shirt.
Yeah. Where you
I might wear mine underneath my butt,
That's a good idea.
so I can Superman.
Yeah.
For Liverfield.
All right, I made a note, so I'm ready.
For 8 months.
The lunch is a good. Lunch is served on Saturday.
Coming back.
Hey, Anthony.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jason.
Did you get the letter? Yeah, you should get a letter confirming everything in the mail, and it'll tell you like what else you do, and it should say.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Hey, Jill. Already did.
Becky upstairs?
I'm sure.
Oh my God, they're got a really good job. Okay, so I got. So I did text her.
Oh, before you
I've
left.
been getting better every week.
One more.
Well, yeah, it's bring your issues.
How are you, kiddos?
Yeah, Darkest Hour. Did you go see Darkest Hour?
This is the best place to get those Sure, it's the best place to get those
Mostly
answers.
good.
Was it? You know, it's kind of much.
Yeah, there was like a really weird plot hole that I was like, what? And then it like
Hearsay to me, so unless I hear from there, I'm not fighting.
Go ahead.
Where?
First hand hearsay. Robin talked.
You did.
Robin talked to Dennis.
Yeah, you did, I didn't.
You guys decided to have it also, have you guys decided?
So Gloria's not, she's staying here. Yeah, I had, so I went on a ski trip with my high school buddies last year.
Veggies now.
How are you? So pretty good. Good.
And, the brother-in-law Richard, he went to this place last year, and that together and this thing, and then they had an extra slot for this year, and they were like, hey, you went skiing last year, do you wanna come? And I was like, well,
How are you two related?
like, that is my dear mother.
Okay.
And, totally against me. Lori was next to me, and
I thought it was arrested. That's not arrested. He's a little young.
You guys leave for
Be careful of my barricade.
She was like, do it, you're not.
Well, I forgot my cable, so I had to do it really short.
You know, our lives could be really, really different.
We say it all the time.
And
Yeah, this is.
We got enough.
we're not, but like,
Have to get
You
your.
should be just over.
you know, it's true, like I get out of bed now and I'm like hot from shit, you know, it's just like.
Good, good.
Yeah. I have to ask every freaking day. We're still trying to get Greg cut. He said he was gonna come tonight. It's like, Greg, it's like if you're Greg. Bring him to this meeting, please.
That's what it's all about.
So you're staying there for a whole 7 days?
Mike's left up.
There's glass up in the
Hello,
cupboard.
my darling, how are you? I'm good, how are
The
you?
middle cupboard
Is that
over there
right?
is glass.
I was able to be back at the.
Well,
Ready to start
I
camping?
think they fixed it also.
Sure.
Ricky did it till they helped me out.
You wanted to come and help me, don't you? Absolutely. I figured as much.
varieties of there.
I'll get your contact.
Like,
Okay.
lots of
It's about
shock tops.
You didn't have time in your hand and I love your apples. Go Vikings. Oh, wait a Super Bowl. Come on, that was such a good game. Phenomenal.
Good. After skiing.
I still was really, I can't believe it. It's awesome.
I've got to do my back in town. He can do this.
Back Monday night.
So we'll see you Thursday.
I've never had this.
We'll see.
It's, yeah, he said, yeah, take this.
Fun.
That's so cool.
My son just called me yesterday.
You invited me.
Two and a half hour bus ride there.
When she invited me to the Bible thing last year. But there is one. There's that's all people say. I always do.
That's why
You just want to throw your name right over there.
Yes.
You are gonna do it.
Good run up.
Did you know
So that can't be recorded.
No, it's YouTube. It's everything is recorded.
I shaved dogs all over. I don't know how long we should try, but I was thinking
It's got a, it's got like a control center. You've got free
Yeah, time flies. Now we're
And I'm gonna give you this. No, this is the one. That's
Yeah, my brother's.
It's like a plug-in Wi-Fi, right? It's just a monitor. So this is what everybody goes see. If you want to go that way better.
I know Gil from downstairs.
Yeah, he's gonna go with us.
Like we have like right, and I got into demand and different things. Walk into your desk every day.
Well, not like
Take walks together.
but yeah, you're supposed to be able to sign by doing that.
My wife's because she gets her wife around here. Oh, okay.
There's only 2 people.
I guess she's in.
Online.
My family.
I was checking my
That's what my brain.
Yeah, Rob got it in her location version, because I think her email is her personal email.
Did you hear about this? Did you hear about guys up technical bad.
Yeah, they did bronze.
So the general
So that's something to think about. It's super good.
I haven't looked.
I went to South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes in the future, I would not mind doing
Yeah, no, don't do that.
I don't intend to. No, that was turned down there, you check it out.
It's like super drop the other side.
Well, if you go a little further north, it starts turning into sand. Well, it's right on the edge of the Mediterranean.
I think like sand.
Turkey's still considered Europe. Technically. Except for half the country is Europe and half the country is.
This is what happens. Well, no, they lucked out. They were on those.
It's very close ties to Arabic, so it's very complicated.
They're moving.
Sprechen nicht gut Deutsch. Sprechen nicht gut Deutsch. I don't speak good English. What's my
Alright, is everybody ready to get started?
Where'd you go?
Let's get rolling. This is awesome. We are growing the number of people that come to this every single time we hold it. So I am so glad to see each and every one of you. It's fantastic to grow the number of people that want to come and learn about what we're doing, talk about their issues. You know, our biggest deal that we have coming up right now is the merger between MPEA and MEAMFT, which is going to take place this weekend. So we're super excited to have a lot of the MPEA members joining us every time we have these. I think, you know, that to me, I think from our side has helped to drive that merger discussion and to help that whole process take place, because we've been working grassroots wise to work together with our folks that sit right across the table from us in most cases within our department, and we know how valuable the work is and the relationships that we have with one another in the workplace, and we're happy to have people from MPEA here. And so I don't know, do we want to go around the room?
Do you want to go really quick?
Very quickly.
I'd love to, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Okay. So I'm Joe Cohenauer, president of the Federation of Public Health and Human Services, Local 4573.
Bobby's mom.
I did ask her.
Yeah. I have to monitor her.
Mafi.
And she is a representative. She's on a legislator. So we
also have legislation.
Hate going first.
You're third.
I mean, before you, because I always repeat what Renee says.
Oh, you get to be first now.
Right. My name is Rachel Spatz, and I work for PHHS. I am part of our local board. I'm the secretary, and I'm also an organizer with MEMFT.
That's awesome. I'm Renee.
Renee
Sarbu. And I am also public health organizer with MEMFT. I'm really happy to see you guys. I am so happy. I'll pay you later.
I'm holding you to that.
I know you are. Give you a t-shirt. No, I already did.
I'm Susan Osted, retired from DPHHS.
As a manager.
Love the unions. I'm always here to help out, so I'm still hanging in.
Thank you.
I'm Monique England. I also am DPHHS. I am the treasurer for Local 4573 and an organizer for MEMFT.
I am Jane Sean. I am with the Helena Education Association, and I am the treasurer, and I don't know my little 4-digit number. I'm really sorry to look it up every time I need it for something, but I don't need it very often, so. And I am an organizer for MEA.
I'm Pat Clark. I work with the Developmental Disabilities Program.
Local 4573.
Yeah.
I knew it.
I'm Morgan Smith. I work here at MEMFT.
I'm Julie McKenna. I'm with the Department of Revenue's Local 4993, and I'm the treasurer, and I'm on the retirement board thanks to MEMFT for Impera. And I'm a treasurer for the Big Sky Central Labor Council, which is a local here in Helena that affiliates with AFL-CIO, and also some of the electricians and plumbers and on all of those guys. So it's pretty interesting being on that group. Thanks.
I'm Gerald Usher. I'm with Department of Revenue with Shannon and Julie. I'm also an organizer with MEMFT.
Shannon Graham, Secretary Local 4993, and I'm also an organizer for MEMFT and currently the vice chair for District 12 on the MEMFT board as it currently stands.
I'm Deanne Hussein. I'm 4573. I work at DPHHS.
And what position do you hold, Ms. Casine?
Well, what day is it?
Thursday.
No. Yeah, I'm the SNAP policy specialist for Human and Community Services.
And she's actually also our
communications
director.
Oh, that position, yeah.
Karen, do you want to go?
I'm with 4573. I am an admin assistant in the director's office for DPHHS.
And I'm Diane Fladmo. I'm on staff with MEMFT. Glad to see such a good turnout. I'm with Renee.
I'm Matt Ringel. I'm in MPEA, and I don't know if I really know about those 4 numbers. Do we have those in ours?
Yeah.
We do? All right. Well.
I didn't think so.
Okay. So, anyways,
I think you have to because you're affiliated with the AFL-CIO, which means you have to have some kind of local number. So,
all right. Well,
we'll find that.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Anyways, I'm a vital statistics epidemiologist over at DPHHS.
One of your SAS users.
Very cool.
Yeah, SAS.
Science geeks! Science geeks unite!
Casey from SAS Master.
I'm Ariel Simon. I work for DPHHS over in the Office of Public Assistance.
I'm Jessica Cook, DPHHS OPA.
I'm Anthony Sanchilli, and the same.
Casey McMahon, DPHHS Network Security Unit, Local 4573.
Yeah.
I'm Bob Funk. I work for the Montana AFL-CIO, and I'm a member of LIUNA 1686.
Yeah, Rick Wilkowski, Network Communications Engineer, Local 4573, and I am the membership coordinator for our local.
Hey.
Coming in late.
Sorry. I'm Joel Felix. I spend most of my time getting away from her up in the lab. And 4573, I was listening. I can never remember. It's been like how many years? 16 years and I can't remember it.
And Joel is actually the chemical terrorism coordinator.
Oh.
Another science geek.
Yeah, no.
Has everyone signed in because
I get $1 for each name.
No,
So you're paying up, Morgan. $1. Yeah, so when you're signing in, you're basically letting us know some contact information, because as we move through, we're going to be talking about how do we as public employees organize ourselves to do good, not just within our own departments, but also within our communities. And you can't be able to do some of that work if we don't talk about campaigns, we don't talk about politics, because every single one of our jobs is political. If you don't understand that, then you're not paying attention to those crazy folks that Mafia and I tried to corral while we're over there at the legislature, that have sway and control over every single one of our positions and how we do our work. So we have to play in politics as an advocate for workers. It's the only way that we can really do good by the common good. The workers' voice is really a paramount thing that we have to continue to put forward, because if that voice is gone, the voice for every worker is gone. So we're going to keep working on the issues that are important to public employees and to teachers and to healthcare workers, and all of the folks that we have under our umbrella are important to us. And inside of the union movement, we are also affiliated with the AFL-CIO. And we have with us tonight is Bob Funk, and he has agreed to come to talk to us about social media and media in general. And we appreciate him coming from the AFL-CIO to kind of talk to us all about what we can do in the future to kind of work together to make a better future for workers in the state of Montana. So go Bob.
Thank you, Senator. I'm really excited to be here, and more than anything, I'm excited about how many people are here. I've said this to a couple of people tonight. I think that you guys should take this on the road and teach other locals how to act, and not just within your union, but within other unions, because I think that if this was happening within every local within the state, we would be in a much stronger position. As Senator Gunnar said, I am Bob Funk. I am the communications director for the AFL-CIO. For anyone that's not familiar with the AFL-CIO, it's the American Federation of Labor and Congress of Industrialized Organizations, which is a really long name, but basically what we are is a federation of every union in the state, excluding two, but we're working on that. It's 37 unions, 500 locals, and over 50,000 members, and your unions encompass a lot of that. The reason I tell you that is because I want to make it very clear that at the end of the day, I'm working for all of you. So after this, I'm going to try to give you an abridged version of this presentation, because I know you have a lot and you have a very exciting weekend coming up. But really at any time, if you have questions, I know that first, go to your union stuff, but I'm here to help with your local, if you need graphics, things like that. That's what I'm there for. We really are focused on members, and that's my little speech. Despite the fact that I look like I'm 18, I promise that I've been working on campaigns for over a decade. And I joined the AFL-CIO about 3 years ago, and I'm really proud to be with the AFL-CIO after working for some other progressive organizations. I come from a family of union members, including my dear mother, Representative Funk. So what I'm here to talk about today is how we, as members of the labor movement, can get our message out there. The fact of the matter is that corporate interests spend more money every year lobbying the legislature and the United States Congress more than every other organization in the United States combined. And the graphs aren't even close. So what we have to do is get members engaged to push our message out there, because we don't have the same resources corporations do. We don't have the same resources management does, and we don't have the same resources that organizations that want to take our collective bargaining rights away have. So what we have to do is work together and amplify our message. So a big opportunity here that anyone has is with new media. So a couple of things that I'm going to talk about today is what is new media. Nobody is showing this.
It's got like a 30-second delay.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I'm going to try to get through this so you guys can talk about the merger, which is super important, and hope everyone shows up to vote yes, and I will be there to bar the door. At least that's what Quinn told me. So I'll be talking about new media, blogs, Twitter, Facebook, and how new media drives news and politics. I thank you. Yeah.
You don't have to keep turning.
Yeah. And if anyone, you've got my contact information because I just passed around my card, so I'm happy to send this to anyone afterwards or answer any questions. Just email me, give me a call, whatever works best for you. And then we'll talk about engaging in new media, and then last of all, letters to the editor. So just a quick summary of what I mean when I'm talking about new media is what I'm talking about is digital media and how we amplify it and how we interact with it. So blogs, Twitter, Facebook, basically it's the opposite of the newspaper that shows up at your front door in the morning, because you can interact with it, you can share it. Obviously there's ways to share your newspaper, but it's a lot less efficient. So it's the interplay between digital media and its distribution. The three pillars that it'll take me a second to get used to looking over here. So, the three pillars that we're going to talk about are really blogs, Twitter, and Facebook. And I realize that a lot of people are like, oh, that stuff doesn't matter. It has a huge impact, especially in today's world. So the first one that we'll talk about is blogs. Blogs continue to be the most traditional source for in-depth analysis of what's going on. I've got a couple of sources here that I can share with you, but honestly, in this day and age, I will send something to a blog in some cases before I'll send it to the press, because the press knows that I'm trying to pitch them on a story, right? I spend a lot of my day on the phone with reporters, and sometimes when you're on the phone with them, they know that I'm a political hack. So they're not going to just regurgitate what I say. So what I do is I filter it through blogs. And then they're like, oh, this is a nice, new, original. I don't like that this is a broadcast right now, but hopefully Tom Liddy's not watching right now. But I'll filter it through the blogs because we know that every reporter in the state is reading all of those blogs. It's also a source for really in-depth information without having to have this side says this side says that. We have some bloggers here in the state that are now being called on by national press because they are the investigative reporters in Montana politics now, excluding a number of reporters I work with, like Holly Michaels, Tom Ludy, which we may not always agree on things, but they are still good reporters. The other good thing is that our allies still dominate the blogosphere. Every once in a while, our opponents, people that are opposed to giving working families a better shake, people that want to take away our bargaining rights, they make an attempt to get a foothold in the blogosphere, and they failed every time. So that's a good piece of news. The top blogs that I think people should be reading, and I have a handout that I'll throw around, pass around, are the Montana Post, which is written by a fellow member of ours. He's a teacher at Helena High School. He also has a number of other writers on his blog, and it's called the Montana Post. Highly recommend reading it. I have a handout that I'll pass around with all the domains and stuff. But he is one of my go-to people, and it is now the most read blog in the state. The second one that I'd really encourage people to read is our blog, which isn't connected directly with our website, but it's Montana's People's Voice. It battles for the second or third place for most read blogs in the state. It's a really good place to go if you want to know important issues that are happening, messaging that we're trying to push at the Montana legislature specifically. We'll throw a lot of stuff up there. Ghost of Tom Joad is an anonymous blog. It can be a little rough and tumble in the language that it uses and stuff like that, but very much clearly on our side. And I will send them tips occasionally if we need someone to take a sledgehammer to an issue. And it gets passed around. I mean, I can tell you that every week somehow I get a link to that blog. So it's important. Montana Cowgirl used to be the best, the most read blog in the state. It's kind of taken a little bit of a tumble with its anonymous blog as well. But we know that management of that blog has shifted. But still a great source and still an ally. And Flathead Memo, written by an activist up in the Flathead. Imagine that. Again, pretty good on our issues. And then lastly, the Institute for Economic Justice blog, which I help write in addition to the Montana People's Voice. What I think the big takeaway, there's a whole bunch of other blogs out there, but they don't have really strong readership. It's kind of that stereotype of someone sitting in their basement in their underwear eating nachos and blogging. These are serious people that do investigative reporting. And like I said, I'll send them, if something gets leaked to me, sometimes I'll send it to them before I will report it, because one, I have more control over the message, but two, I know it will get posted, and three, I know it's going to end up going to the mainstream press, and it's a lot more effective than a press release sometimes. So I kind of touched on this, so I'll move past this one real quick, but those blogs are our allies. The Montana Post stands by workers, People's Voice, obviously, since we write that. Ghost of Tom Joad, Institute for Economic Justice are all favorable. Let's go to Twitter. So, blogs are the think tank of the internet when it comes to media and pushing stories out there. It's in depth, there's a lot of information, number of campaigns I've worked on. That's, again, like I said, that's where we'd send high level documents for them to be leaked first. So there's some real good information there. And like I said, it's sort of the think tank. But if it's the think tank, Twitter is sort of the pulse of Montana politics. I use a program called Hootsuite to track this. And I'm sure that Twitter can sometimes really irritate some of the legislators sitting here, because nothing is really a secret at the Montana legislature. The value of Twitter is you can see where a story is developing before it's on the blogs, before it's on Facebook, before it's in the news. This is really the pulse. And that's why I have a screenshot of my Hootsuite from this session. I have one screen that's dedicated just to seeing what's popping up on Twitter, because a story can quickly escalate on Twitter and we want to be on top of it. So I just basically have a running tab of all of that stuff. I'll get into the value of these a little bit more, but I don't think in this day and age anyone can question the value of Twitter, or I'll take that out. Not the value of it, but the importance and influence of it. I think we all know that our president is a Twitter president and moves a message very quickly. And I am not saying that this is the best example of where to start and how he operates with Twitter. But the point is that Twitter gives you a way to move your message without having to go through the press. He talks directly to his supporters. He gets his information out there without it moving through the press. Now, obviously, we hold ourselves to a much higher standard. But the point is that Twitter is used as a very powerful way to amplify message and deliver message. And I guarantee the same, I don't guarantee it, I know it. That whole scrolling thing that I have on Hootsuite, every reporter in Montana is doing the exact same thing. So if they see a bunch of people tweeting about a certain issue or retweeting an issue, they say, wow, the public's actually interested in this. I'm going to look into it and write a story. And that's the power here. If everyone in this room gets on Twitter tomorrow and, starts amplifying the same message that we're all talking about, let's say we're going to the legislature and there's a right to work bill. We all start amplifying it and it's orchestrated. The press will cover it because they know that their readership is interested in it. So that's the power of Twitter. It kind of allows you to bypass the press and then the press ends up covering it. The day of press releases are sort of over. I'll still send them out every once in a while to make some of our partners happy and things like that, but that's not really the goal. Hashtags that are really important to follow on Twitter. First, let me take a step back. I'm sorry, I'm trying to go through this so you guys can actually talk about your merger. How many people are on Twitter? Okay, so I don't want anyone to waste and dedicate their lives to reading Twitter like I do, because that's a really miserable way to spend your life. But I would encourage everyone to create a Twitter account and let me know what their Twitter account is and send me their email, so then when we want to amplify a message, I can send all of you an email and say, can you send a tweet out like this? Okay, so that's one of my asks, and I've got a sheet to pass around after this. That's one of my asks. You don't ever have to look at your Twitter account except for when I ask you to. But you can leave that heinous, horrible world full of filth to me. I just need you to help me every once in a while. If you are interested in Twitter, the most important hashtags to follow are as follows: hashtag #MTPoll, hashtag #MTLeg, which is the Montana legislature, hashtag #MTGov, which is the governor, hashtag #MTNews, which is really about reporters, but it's kind of nice to send stuff there. And then obviously I don't have it on this sheet, but going into 2018, hashtag #MTSEN, which will be about the Senate race. Is everyone familiar with hashtags and how that works? So basically, you put a hashtag on something. If I put that # before #MTPoll, I send out a tweet. If you click on that hashtag, you'll see all the other tweets that are related to that subject. So for example, in my Hootsuite, I just have it set up so that I've got a stream. Every time someone uses any one of these hashtags, I'm alerted.
Does that go through Facebook or what?
So Facebook tried to get on the hashtag bandwagon, and it still will work, but they don't.
So you say,
it's
you
not
type
really.
type it in where?
Oh, when you're sending out a tweet.
I know, but you gotta
What
put
do you
it
open
way
up to
down the
tweet
bottom
out?
there.
Oh, sorry.
Like Twitter.
There's
And I'm sorry, I'm trying to.
You're talking to non-geeks here.
Yeah.
Down a little bit.
So.
Is it an app that we download?
Yeah, it's an app. And again, like I said, I'm trying to go through this.
Training after this.
Yeah, sort of quickly.
That's okay. I think you're gonna be in our meeting tomorrow anyways.
I will.
Okay.
And
Slow it down there.
but also with the information that passed around, please, because I want everyone to get involved in this so that we can amplify the pro-labor message out there. So I know I'm going through some of this pretty quickly, but please email me, call me, text me, and then maybe you'll be able to tweet at me later.
So Bob, what we could do is we
Yeah.
could actually maybe do in a future meeting like
I'd
this,
love-
have people show up, and if we
I'd love
can
to do
have
that.
people actually sign up, we'll help you create an account, we can put a few hashtags up so that you can start
That would
seeing
be-
what it's all about. I mean, we can make it a little bit easier, so you can go quickly and we can come back and
Okay,
have that
so-
discussion.
But and I've done a similar presentation at a number of places, and afterwards I usually spend a couple of hours with people that I give the presentation to go over this. So if anything is just coming out like Greek, we can talk about it later. The main takeaway from this whole thing is please start getting involved in pushing our message. And I'll get to why that matters a little more in a second. I just wanted to go over some of the basics. Twitter, if Twitter is the pulse of politics and blogs are the think tanks, Facebook is really the megaphone. The fact of the matter is that I have an old stat on here that 50% of Montanans are on Facebook. It's now approaching 60%. In some places, it's over 80%, and it's become incredibly a powerful tool also for elections. I will take voter records and mash it up on Facebook and advertise directly to Facebook users. I mean, everyone's on there. It's becoming an incredibly powerful tool for politics, but we all already know that it's a powerful social tool.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
We do have a Facebook presence here on our local. I'd like to see more people join. We've got a Facebook group that's private to our local with MEA, MFT, and MPEA. We've got members from both sides that are on there. We also have a page. That's where we post a lot of these announcements. These meetings are posted on there all the time also. So it's a pretty good tool for us also.
And Bob, so you don't have to be scared, it's a closed group. So when we advertise that, it's only the people that we.
I'm not worried about
I know, well, you said that earlier. So I thought I'd let you know that you're pretty safe. You're pretty safe.
Oh, okay, great.
You're
I'd
pretty
love
safe.
to. Again, so I'll just try to go through this real quick. Why this matters is really, 10 years ago plus, everyone was like, oh, this whole the internet thing, the new media thing, it's not going to be all that impactful. Then 2006 came around, blogs blew up, and in Montana, specifically around like the 10 cycle, they blew up here too and became incredibly powerful. And I have a couple of examples here later, but if you ever have any questions about it, 99.9% of Montanans access the internet at least once a month, even if it's at their library, if they don't have internet at home, but on their phone. And now it's closer to 60% of Montanans are on Facebook. Twitter's there's not as much use on there. Twitter is really what we use to influence reporters so that they'll write stories that we care about. Facebook is where we share things so that reporters know that we care about them and they'll keep writing about them, which we'll move into the next part, which is using new media to influence Montana politics. So I'm just going to use the example here since it won't pop up each one. Okay, so we have, I think everyone here knows that the newspapers are bleeding staff, they're bleeding money, and they're still desperate looking for stories. Everyone in this room can decide what they write about in the newspaper because they are paying incredible attention. Reporters are paying a lot of attention to what they're seeing on Twitter. If everyone here got on their phone right now and if they had Twitter and sent something out about a certain issue, even like something specifically about the merger, I guarantee that phones would start being lit up by reporters asking what the heck is going on, and we'd have a story in the Helen IR tomorrow. Facebook, same thing. If there's a story on the Helen IR that we think's interesting or positive to our message, and we all start sharing it, they look at the analytics behind that and they say, wow, this was a story that we got a lot of shares on and a lot of clicks from, and that's what runs our revenue. So we're going to write more stories like this. We really, in this age, have so much power over what the press covers. And that's what I'm trying to get through is if we all work together in a concerted effort, we can really change the narrative in the papers. One example that I have up here, it's from the 2015 session, is a number of our, the AFL-CIO was having an issue with a worker comp claim through the state fund. And we told Montana Cowgirl, we released, I called the, well, I didn't call them up, I emailed them, and said, we're going to be boycotting this event because I knew that I could get a story up within the hour from them. Then within 3 hours, we've got a story up in the Great Falls Tribune and the Independent Record. And then they were calling me to get my quote on the issue of it. So we drove the story without me having to pander to them and knowing that they'd say, okay, this is this hack trying to sell me a story. We made it appear incredibly organic, and we got a story written. There are so many more examples of this, whether it's the Office of Public Instruction and Elsie Arnson's word salad, if it's Corey Stapleton and his expenses and abuse of taxpayer dollars. We got that put on blogs first, and 2 days later it was in all the newspapers. And we made noise on it on Twitter. We also, and this is an important part, all of those blog posts that we got placed then got shared on Facebook by people that are our allies, ourselves, and our members. And so all of the reporters in the state said, wow, this Cowgirl post or this Montana post article is getting shared like crazy. People are actually interested in it. We should probably put it in our newspaper or cover it on the TV news. So I hope that's sort of starting to make sense on why this is so powerful. And as we all know, our elected officials are on social media, so that a lot of them are paying attention to this stuff. I'm gonna wait for that because I just love this one when Denochi was caught playing video games. And there was a story written about that. While he was spending time attacking workers and working poor, we got a snapshot of him playing a video game on his phone in session, shared it, and then we had a story. I'll just skip through. My one thing is, again, the request I have is that people get involved. One of them is get involved in Twitter, Facebook, all of that stuff. But the thing to remember is that you are not just representing yourself. You are representing your local, your union, and the labor movement as a whole. So if you're out there saying incredibly offensive stuff, that can create a nightmare for your local and your fellow members. So etiquette is important out there. The other thing I would say is that there are a lot of trolls out there that want to bait you. Don't take it. Just put the message out there and walk away. Because our goal is not to change people's minds on Twitter. Everyone on Facebook and Twitter already have their minds made up. The people we're trying to reach are the press and people that don't have their minds made up, that get most of their news still from traditional news, like the radio or TV or the newspaper. So that's what we're trying to move. We are not trying to change anyone's mind on social media, because I'm sure many of us had arguments with relatives or family members about politics over on Facebook or something. You're never going to win that argument. And that's why in political campaigns, we spend zero time talking to them. We talk to the people whose minds we can actually change. So, is this okay? I'm almost done. All right. What I would ask for everyone to do is, actually I'm going to go to this slide because I've said what I'm asking everyone to do numerous times. Because I think this graphic kind of shows what I'm talking about. And while that's loading, pass these both these ways. This kind of just very easily illustrates what I'm talking about. If we control the new media stories, which that's my job, is to get good stories placed. So if you're having an issue, there are a couple of MPEA members that have come to me just a few weeks ago. They're having an issue at work. I helped get some stories. I'm currently working with getting some stories planted for them in the new media realm. Then what I'm going to ask, and we're going to promote it from the AFL-CIO, but then if everyone shares, likes it, the press takes notice of it, and it's in the Helena IR or the Billings Gazette tomorrow. This story won't be tomorrow. I'm just saying that this is the model that we're looking for. So when I've got 4 action items on this. Where one, I'd like you to send me your email so that I can add you to the Montana AFL-CIO email list. We send out really important news stories almost every day, and then when there's calls to action that may affect your union or your brothers and sisters in a different union, it's really important. It's an easy way to get involved. If you don't care about the links that I send out, most days you can just delete it, but please pay attention to the action items. The other thing that I haven't really had time to talk about is letters to the editor. That is free, paid. That's free media for us in a paid setting, and we need to take advantage of that. And I'm really working to build up our letter to the editor base. So if you're interested, you can either sign up on our website, which is mtaflcio.org, or you can email me and I'll put you on the list. If you have a Twitter account, please email me and let me know what your handle is, or just let me know that you have a Twitter account. You don't have to tell me what the handle is if you have an anonymous one, but just so I can add you to our action list, so then when we need to push message or around a certain issue, and I send out a blast email asking people to tweet about this issue or share this link, that I can include you. If you're interested in becoming an action item bot for the labor movement, and that's all you want to do, please contact me. I will set up an account for you. The other thing is, please go to, if you're not already following MEMFT or your local or MPEA on Facebook, please do that, but also go to our Facebook page and like it. There's a lot of important information there. And also, if we share something on that Facebook page, that means that we're kind of also asking you to share it and send it out there, because it's a way of us sending out a smoke signal saying this is something that we think is really important and we want to get people's eyeballs on it. And then I also included some blogs that I would encourage you to read and share. Again, a lot of the time on those blogs, those are stories that we've put there, and we want them to be shared a lot, so that, one, we're reaching the blogosphere audience, but more importantly, so that we have a hope of getting into the mainstream media. New media has really given us the ability to determine the direction of traditional media, but we need every union member to get involved in it. And like I said, we have over 50,000 members in the AFL-CIO, and then you have to include their household members. If everyone got on this train, we could decide what everyone's talking about in the state every week. So that's my quick pitch on everything. I also have my information on here. Happy to answer any questions. Usually this takes me a little over an hour to use, so I know that a little hectic. So please contact me with any questions, follow-ups, or if you think I'm full of crap. That's great, because I'm trying to get everyone involved in this effort, so that we can make people realize that our issues are everyone's issues. And we're not a special interest. We're the majority's interest.
So Bob, wouldn't this be something good to start doing it now, blasting on that Janice case?
Absolutely. So that's another thing that I'm working on with our public employee unions is matching our lists for digital ads, so that we can start talking to them directly about reminding them the benefits of this. But that's going to take some time, because there's politics and lists and all that stuff. So in the meantime, what we need to be doing is the organic side of it. And so if everyone in this room is talking about Janice all the time, the amount of people that work in the public sector that I talk to that say, I'm talking to them about Janice, and they say, who? We've got an issue and we need to talk about it. And we have an incredibly important merger coming up, and the moment that's over, that's all we're going to be talking about. And I think that both of your unions are doing an incredible job on not only educating members on why it's good to be a union, but saying, hey, also you should come on too. And we have such an opportunity here. The approval rating for unions is higher than it's been in 2 decades. A large majority of Americans support unions. It's over 60% now. Membership in Montana has actually grown last year. And we've had a number of shops that have never been unionized and industries that have never been unionized. There is a real movement building here in response to our rigged economy, the gig economy, and people getting ripped off. And the tax bill, we have very fertile ground no one should be shy about talking about their union. No matter if you know your grumpy cousin tells you that they don't like unions, the fact of the matter is they're in the minority. And more people are signing up. The number of calls that we get at the AFL-CIO asking where they should be directed to start organizing in the 3 years I've been with the AFL-CIO it's just been going up like this. So this is our time, and we should be making a lot of noise about it and talking about our pride in being union. And then also more specifically with certain messages, like when we go into a special session or a regular session, we're gonna have specific bills that we want you to make noise about, so.
So you can see where the voice and the power that we can exert by banding together through our unions and through our, internationals, through our state organizations is going to be incredibly powerful in the next little while. You can see how, they've driven message on the things that we care about. And you don't have to play so much in there. If you can just help out a little bit here and there. If you've never had a Twitter account, you should get one. It is, you download the app and you register yourself, and then you basically have an account. And then you say you follow these things, just like it's a little bit like Facebook in that way. You just, the things that you're interested in will pop up on a regular basis. And then you can help out with this messaging because a lot of people are new here. We've talked about the Janus case before, but the Janus case is essentially a case that's at the Supreme Court at the national level. They are going to essentially decide whether or not you can have a closed shop. So, we in state government, in our contracts, we have a closed shop. So we have FTEs and jobs that belong to the union. And everyone who gets that job must be a member of the union or pay a representation fee. And essentially, Janus is going to decide whether the union can do that or not. And so we know that there's a lot of people that don't like the union. They don't like being made to be a member, but basically, they are covered by our contract, and union membership has rights and privileges that are associated with that, including contract language that applies to everyone who is a member of that local union. So the representation fee basically covers the cost of enforcing the contract and protecting the rights of the people that have those jobs in our in everywhere that we work. So the Janus case is going to decide whether they can do that. And we know that there's going to be some losses to our union membership when that hits. But personally, I think the membership in MEAMFT and MPEA and the AFL-CIO, the people that are in the state of Montana understand that their jobs are protected and they have a voice in their workplace if you have a contract. Because if you don't have a contract, then you don't have the ability to talk in your workplace and have that voice. So I wanted to use a good example. Fever has said over and over again, when a teacher pipes up and talks about education issues, kids, all of that, their voice carries a lot of weight. When a union worker stands up and talks about their work and their job and their role in their community, protecting kids or educating kids or, collecting child support or providing assistance to folks, that carries weight in a community. So letters to the editor that we worked on, every one of us, I know over the last little while, was asked to do a letter to the editor to get that voice out during the special session because of all the cuts that were happening. And I hope you did that. And, there's lots of help available for that. And it's something that we're going to continue to work on because, it is a priority for MEAMFT as well. So I'm so glad everybody was here. I hope you enjoyed that presentation. We're going to try to do little things like that here and there as we move forward. And we could even do a night where we just do twitting.
Yeah. A tweeting meeting? Tweeting party?
It might be kind of fun just to do that. I think that would be fun. Well, I call it twitting because that's what the president does.
Gotcha.
That's
Hey Bob, I got a real fast question for you. For those the people that don't want to intermingle their personal with whatever, what's your opinion and or advice on having alternate accounts for these kind of things?
Especially on Twitter, I think that's completely fine. So I mean, that's why I was saying if you already have a Twitter account and you don't want to share it because you're keeping it anonymous, that's fine. I just actually need your email address so I can tell you, please send this out. but creating an alternative, especially public employees, which come under so much ridiculous scrutiny. I completely understand wanting to have an anonymous account. In fact, there are already some, it's very clear that they are public employees that have anonymous accounts, and I would be happy, as everyone deserves to have their voice heard, so I'd be happy to also help set up those accounts.
And then I wasn't even so much talking about anonymous, it's just, you know, I'm not like, personal stuff, I'm clogged up with trolls and people arguing.
Yeah, you don't want to
It
intermingle
takes all the
that.
fun out of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so if, as long as you're helping push the message out there, that's all that matters. Alternative accounts are completely, they make no difference.
You know you're getting to them if they're trolling.
Yeah. True. Does anybody else have questions for, anything else we can do? So I wanted to take one moment, because we talked a little bit about the merger, but it's probably the biggest thing that's going on in the whole state of Montana right now. I mean, if you're paying attention to the growth of the union movement in the state of Montana, it is the biggest thing going. And we are proud and excited to move that, to move towards that in, basically on Saturday. And hopefully everybody can attend that. It's gonna be super fun, and I think it'll be historic to have that actual merger vote and to be a part of this wonderful, amazing organization that's going to have the voice of teachers and healthcare workers and public employees. And the new name is the Montana Federation of Public Employees, which is fantastic because I think it's very indicative of what we're going to be going into the future. So, but the one thing I really wanted to do tonight is for us to go around really quick, and we didn't ask this earlier, but if you can kind of pick somebody from your area, and because there's several people from a given area, if you can give us just a quick update about what's going on in the Department of Revenue local, something that's going on in our local would be great, just to kind of let everybody know where we are with that, because we've got MPEA folks, and we want to make sure that the voice of all of us is heard. So you want to start?
I'll start.
Go.
Because I'm with MEMFT retired, and we had and it's actually a fabulous group, and there are a lot of us, and we had a meeting last Friday, and Eric came and presented, and they are so jazzed about this. So those are going to be lots of good voices, and it's just nice to see people who maybe aren't working full time anymore to be so involved. So I'm feeling it is just so exciting. It is truly historic. It's going to be a moment. I mean, for the nation. For the nation.
You blinded her.
For the nation. I mean, really, this is the only one in the nation, isn't it?
The cool part about it is our national unions, NEA and AFT, have sent people to watch this and to witness the cool thing that we're doing here.
So let's just make sure it happens.
Yes.
So go and vote yes.
If I can just add one thing on
Sure.
that. I just, at last year's AFL-CIO convention, which again is virtually every union in the state, resolution was passed unanimously, voicing really strong support for this merger. So it's not just your two unions, you have 35 other unions that are excited about this and coalescing around that power. So everyone's looking to you guys on Saturday.
No pressure.
So Mo, do you want to do one for us? Let everybody know kind of what's going on in our
Go
level.
ahead, Nate.
You, Mo.
Why me?
Because I'm picking you.
Well, don't pick on me. I don't have anything.
We got.
Go ahead, Nenny.
Graduated.
Go ahead.
Teachers.
Good.
Tell them about our organization.
For love. All right, so. Thanks. Run over. So, as MEMFT organizers, we and there's a bunch of us, you know, some of us are from Revenue, DPHHS, and then we brought on board some teachers.
Yeah.
So,
Teachers.
Yeah, so we are all working together in the organizing. First it was state employees, which we've been working on for years. And now Trish has granted us the green light. We've been working with the teachers to touch base with all the other folks that are in the HEA. So that's been super exciting. We've been door knocking and getting to know some of the teachers in the area and shift everything kind of that way. It's been pretty exciting. Our organizing has caught some attention nationally from our national backers, AFT, NEA, and they've been watching that for a couple years, and so now we've branched out. We've got people going in Missoula, and we are looking to expand that as well. And they are using what we've done here in Montana as a model to take that in other places in other states. So we are truly moving and shaking in Montana in many ways, not just with the merger. That just kind of comes with everything else, I think, too. So that's what I got.
Well, and then with that, we are talking with Quint about with the MPA folks and how we're gonna be, and so we're gonna get names with, I think, 10.
Yeah, he wants to hire 10 more people.
I think we can hire 10 more people, which will be working with teachers and then MPA folks and.
We're all gonna be one.
Yeah, it is like, it's really exciting. I mean, it is, like Bobby said, the union movement is moving.
And we're growing in many different ways, so it's gonna be pretty exciting.
Jane, you have something to add?
So no, not really, but I will tell you a little fun fact about our local. The Helena Education Association was one of only 2 education locals where we have merged with our paraeducators. So it is teachers and paraeducators under one governance structure. We obviously have different contracts, but I've been with the district for 11 years now, and so it's been like that since we began, since I've been here. So it's been a long time, and we are hoping that once the state merger goes through, that we will also bring on our secretarial staff, which is now in PEA, and we would like to have them merge into our local also. So.
And kind of briefly talk about your levy going on, because state workers are gonna have to.
Oh, true. So our school board is supposed to vote at their February meeting. We have been told that they are going to vote yes on an operational levy for the community, which will be, the operational levy is much different than the bond. The bond was what we had, the taxpayers voted on for the new schools, but the operational levy is actually what we operate on. So that's the money that we spend on books and supplies and resources and personnel and raises and all those kinds of things.
So you're hoping the community will support that?
We are hoping the community will support that. And we do know that if we just have every teacher and one other person, their significant other or someone vote for the levy, it would pass. But we always have some teachers that don't vote for it. I never have understood that. Maybe they just don't vote. So we'll need y'all's help.
Shannon?
You got some? Not really. Our local is having our Helena board meeting actually tomorrow here in town, so we could have our board forcibly here in town on Saturday to have them attend the merge. So we actually have 21 people attending the merger, 10 on the MEA MFT side and 11 on the MPEA side. So we're pretty excited. We got that great turnout.
Shannon pulled out her cowboy robe and
she did a great job.
So we're pretty excited we have that big of a turnout.
Shannon introduced Kimberly.
Kimberly wasn't here when we did introductions, but Kimberly is the president of our local and Kimberly Mills, and she is located in Hamilton.
So I'm a little out of the Helena loop.
Well, we've had a couple other things though. So Department of Revenue's lost about 29 people to the budget cuts. So I keep track of it.
And we're slotted to lose another 24 offices in 2018.
So one of the things that happened, and this is the power of a newspaper. My mom lives in Elliston. She gets the Silver State and newspaper. And one of the offices that we closed, Department of Revenue closed, is Deer Lodge. So there was an article in the Deer Lodge paper that just, it was a very unpleasant article about how Department of Revenue showed up. We emailed this couple of workers, each showed on a Thursday, showed up on Monday with boxes and said, you're done, and adios, And so they wrote an article about it. So Valerie Clay is a Department of Revenue employee, and she'd actually ran for an office in that district and was beat out by Becky Beard from Elliston, who's a Republican.
Crazy person, sorry.
Yes, and so she wrote an article to the Silver State that is a be careful what you ask for type
It was
letter.
really, really good.
It was very, very to the point. It wasn't rude, but it was, you guys vote for people that
Don't
shut
care
your
what they
offices. They took away motor vehicles, and now they take away their property tax offices, and so, if you have people out in your outlying areas that are in little towns that are getting cuts, they have the power to say something, because those votes will matter. Because those are the people that have the legislators that vote against us every time.
So that's what these guys, just say it out loud.
19 offices are closing.
Or
OPA, Office of Public Assistance.
Aren't they in Deer Lodge? Isn't it Deer
Yeah,
Lodge?
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
Deer
sure
Lodge.
Sydney, Chinook,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Hamilton, so.
Libby.
I circled those on a map in our office, and it's really sad to look at this map now.
Yeah.
So now how many more do you get
And
laid
in
off?
really rural areas where they don't have access,
Uh-huh.
it's hard to get to the larger places.
Right, and
Yeah.
I talked to somebody up in Conrad. I think it was Conrad. Or you get Shelby on I-50? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And they're saying, they're closing us, and I go, well, you can thank the guy you voted for, he started it.
Yeah.
And they were totally unaware of their representative that they voted for
And
shut down their
senator,
systems.
Rep. and senator.
Yeah.
And most of the offices
The other
that
good
were
thing I have
closed
is
was.
that, in the CLC, we have a member, he was the president, Jay Reardon, and he's now stepped to vice president. We got a new vice president, but he's in with AFL-CIO, and Bob Funk knows, and he's been going to CLCs all around the state, trying to reorganize them, trying to reshuffle them, get them back on their feet for ones that have kind of just fell by the wayside and haven't been real active. So the AFL, and even down at those levels, at electricians and plumbers and that type of stuff, they are organizing. They are organizing like crazy and trying to get people back on board. So it's a movement.
Casey, you said that you guys processed how many people?
There's 25.
25 terminations just this week?
Including managers and it's just sad. Especially in
That's
these small
statewide.
towns, it's hard for people you see on Facebook that are here in Helena, which is a big city, trying to find jobs. Imagine somebody that's in a 27
Deer
people
Lodge,
town
yeah.
trying to find them.
So I was trying to explain that to some of the legislators, is that the economic impact of not having those state employees in those local communities with their wages, being able to buy in their local
Their
communities,
stores are-
they have no idea what's about to hit them. And, it's not even the fact that those critical services have been disrupted, and how are those people going to be able to get those services if they don't have internet access, if they don't, because we're not funding libraries like we should. It just goes on and on. We're essentially disenfranchising a whole series of folks in these smaller communities, and that's just going to continue, because I can't imagine, Helena and all of these other places are gonna have to pick up the slack for people trying to call in and get those benefits.
If you
It's already happened.
Yep,
If you
if
can
they
get
can
in.
get it, if they can get in. So we've
Yeah.
been discussing that with MPEA about
Long
the
hold
call,
times.
which is the phone number that you're supposed to call into, the 1-800 number in order to get assistance. And we have, one of our members is the one that's tasked with actually testing that. And she called into the number, just basically put it on speakerphone and went about her business doing her work. It took her 2.5 hours for somebody to get online with her.
There's some days it's 2 days before you get a call back.
days,
2 days.
We actually had, last month, we had a critical passover from the calls that we took one day to the next day. We had over 1,000 calls
In the
that
queue.
went over
And-
that we couldn't
and-
answer.
And the problem is that they will spin that, the public employees aren't doing their job, that they're not answering, that the public employees aren't answering the phone, not that you cut so many jobs, that public, that, yeah, and that's what we have to really fight.
Correct. The software is not working.
That
Well,
was also an issue,
And
yes.
there's absolutely no way that the sheer number of OPA workers in the state can handle that kind of a call. There's
Yeah,
just
but
no
even
way.
those ones, those 19 offices that got cut,
They
they
do
were
well.
in locations where that is the one and only person, because most of those offices were single people. That's the one and only person in that entire region that they can actually physically go to. Now they have no one.
And that they know, they know, I mean, not that you can't, you know, the people here, but you have somebody in your community that can help you, it's.
And what's sad is these cuts are gonna reflect to the schools. Because their services are not gonna be made, it's gonna come right back to the schools. So it is.
What was on the news last night from our director of Medicaid?
I don't know, who's our director of Medicaid? Marie Matthews?
Marie, she was saying that the QIS, am I saying that right? Okay, 50 cases a day for each worker. That was a quote, and she was all happy about it. You know, her interview on the news last night was disturbing to me.
So is that about, is that about your stuff?
I'm a QIS.
QIS.
Who's been doing case management special assignment for the last 2 years. A QIS position and a case manager position, there is a lot of overlap between those two positions.
Can you say kind of what they do? So people will understand.
Case management is different in different entities, but in the developmental disabilities programs, we do assessment of individuals for need. In the developmental disabilities program, we assess individuals for need. We help refer them to resources that they may need to help, you know, for supports in their lives. We monitor annual plan of care, treatment plan, call it what you will, and we coordinate the plan of care. And we work close with provider agencies and the individuals. And the QIS, quality improvement specialist, provides a lot of quality assurance, not just monitoring, but also compliance monitoring.
Meeting the standards of the federal government and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's somewhat of a specialized role, but there is a lot of overlap. And there is a committee of people right now, very dedicated employees from around the state within DDP with lots of experience in both the case management and the QIS arena. And we're working very diligently to come up with a transition plan, because there are some case managers who have contracted with the state, whose contract will be ending. So we're taking up slack.
So think about all of these case managers that are working for some of like Aware, and there's a couple of other ones, but you would understand the fact that they're providing direct care within communities all across the state. Well, those contracts are going to be canceled. So the work that they have been doing for individuals in communities is going to be pulled back to these groups.
That case management, it will continue. People will still have their service. That's what we're working hard for.
Yeah, but it's going to be pulled back into the state. It's being pulled back into the state under the QIS case manager.
Great Falls, I had a sister-in-law up in Great Falls, she works for, I think it's called QVC.
QLC. That's a private provider agency.
And they're gonna lose their contract.
But the quality of life services and things like that, I mean, they're not losing those, they're they're letting other people.
Everybody, Bob, excuse me, Bob needs to take off.
Apologize.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything you were doing. Like I said, you are a model for what everyone should be doing in this state, so thank you.
Bob.
Thank you so much.
Aren't they just talking?
I do have a question though, when you say that these private entities were canceling the contracts with them because of
Only one contract.
only one contract. So if you say that the services are gonna continue, what's the issue?
Let me explain. There's a lot of different kinds of services. A person with developmental disabilities, if they are eligible for. There's a lot of services. There's a big, huge waiver called the Developmental Disabilities Waiver, the O208 waiver, that you can get all kinds of services under that.
All access.
Those people who have those services are not gonna lose their provider services. The only thing that is going to change is the way their case manager who oversees services on behalf of the state, to make sure the contractors are in compliance and doing what they say they're gonna do. The case management is gonna change.
So the one thing you should know is that people like Pat are going to, they might have caseloads of 35 is what I've been told.
Oh, no, we have 35 now.
And it's going to go up, yeah.
It will likely go up, yeah.
Okay, so
It'll
are
be
you a
similar
case
to-
manager or a QIS?
I'm a QIS.
You're a QIS and now you're gonna be assuming some case management?
Well.
She's special.
I'm special.
She's actually been piloting, doing both jobs for 2
yeah.
years. That was the deal.
So I don't understand the whole cancel the contract, like quality of life people, right?
No. Helena Industries, Spring Meadow Resources, Aware Incorporated, Opportunity Resources.
Yes.
Reach, all these, all around the state are big organizations, some of them bigger than others, and they provide a multitude of services, a variety of services to individuals with developmental disabilities.
I understand that, but then
One aspect of some of those companies also have a special contract where they were providing only case management services in certain areas. And so that aspect of their entire contract will go, that one little tiny contract for those agencies, just the case manager contract will end.
because I give all those people access, so my question is, I mean, I see them all losing their access here, but now they're getting it over here, so I mean, what's the difference?
I'm not sure what you mean by access.
Well, if they do case management stuff or QIS stuff or whatever their job is at Quality of Life or Aware or wherever, and now they don't work for them, but they do the same thing now at Benchmark, Human Services.
So he's giving them access to the computer program that helps.
So they lose their job here, but they all now work for Benchmark Services to do that same job?
I don't
How's
know,
all
a
that
person
work
can go
out?
work wherever they get hired.
Well, I get that, but I'm
Yeah,
wondering
this
if I have 100 people a day and they're coming to Quality of Life, Aware, and all these people, and now we've consolidated those under this contract that we're not getting rid of to make them work under Benchmark and these other folks now? I'm
gonna step in for a minute.
Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah. I just covered for you.
I don't
Karen. What happens is those contracted case managers, I think, only have access to Mona and to Thera. They don't have access to the rest. That is separate entities on themselves, I believe,
Yep.
and have nothing to do, well, you guys help troubleshoot it, I think, right?
No, well, I work for security now, so we give them access to these data owners,
So what I would
DDP,
say-
case management.
My suggestion would be is maybe to go contact Noveline Martin, get a list of who the contracted case managers are for ORI, HI, Helena Industries. You're looking at Aware, you're looking at CMMC, you're looking at, I think there's 5 of them, who's the other one? But anyway,
But that's
they
what I'm
have
seeing at my
have a
job.
list.
Yeah, I don't.
And they have all those individuals, and then we'll have to have them monitored to see who's gonna be losing their positions.
So I do know that there was the 3% cut that did go out to all of the contractors with the department, because contracted services got cut during the 17.7 and 140 cuts that happened before the special session. That was the required governor's cuts. And a legislative interim committee, Child and Family Services, actually tried to stop that from happening for a short period of time, but figured out that the only way they could actually stop it is if they weren't following the process laid out by the state for essentially contracting, and so they had to pull back on that, and so those cuts went into effect. So you're seeing, I would imagine you're seeing the cuts that went to those providers, because they're going to be losing some staff due to a 3% overall cut. And so there's probably some of those people leaving. the case management process that might have been a part of something that one of those entities would provide as part of their baseline services. That part of it is gone, but they still might be providing still resources. So I can see some quite shuffling around of staff and who's gonna do what, and maybe different people are gonna have access to stuff. But you guys would only get something from the program that would say, hey, this person needs access or this person needs to be removed from access, but I can see how it could definitely get confusing.
Yeah, because it was remove them from all these people that got cut and put them to this new benchmark company that.
Right, so these people might be
Yeah.
moving around themselves, which will be really interesting as things move forward. What I wanted, Pat, to kind of let you know is that, even the people who didn't lose positions, there is a lot of change coming for those that are left and the people that are trying to pick up the slack for a lot of these cuts. I mean, we're seeing that around our whole membership and it's a huge deal. You guys are gonna be picking up the slack, OPA workers are gonna pick up the slack for the rest of the state. We're seeing it in our central office folks as well. And I don't know what you guys have going in DOR.
Well, I was gonna say, before all of this came about, our fee versus full member ratio was the highest ever. We were on the best track for converting people from rep to full members before this happened. And since this has happened, I've actually had the opportunity to reach out, because I get contacted from people throughout the state in smaller offices panicked about their job, and it gives me an opportunity to talk to them directly and kind of address their concerns or whatever. So that's kind of been, if there's a silver lining. And we do think that most of the layoffs are done. We think it's going to be more consolidation where employees will be offered the opportunity to transfer to work out of a different office. It's kind of a big hub. So.
Are you talking about revenue?
Yeah, or property assessment.
And that's where they took the
I don't
biggest
think
hit
anybody took
for
it.
their
It's not happening.
So are they saving the money by closing the physical structures?
Oh, yeah.
But they're still keeping staff, so you're.
Yeah, because you could have.
Well, we were down 29.
Yeah, it's
I
about.
thought it was.
No, some of that's retirement.
And some of it's voluntary, people saying, let me out of here, get me. So.
I think we need a good investigative reporter to find out how many jobs have been lost. You say, the legislators don't understand what the economic impact. And we can't even agree on what the economic impact is just sitting here at this table. It's like, you're saying it's a little tiny part of these contracts. You're saying that staff's gonna shuffle around and get jobs at other offices, so they're not
But
gonna
if
be
they don't
really-
wanna transfer, then they're gonna be.
Yeah, but it's like bottom line, how many people have lost their jobs?
Cause
Does
not
anybody know
everybody's
that?
gonna wanna go from Dillon to wherever, not everyone's gonna wanna leave their home.
Don't you
and-
agree that some of that is still shaking out?
Yeah,
Yes.
some of it's still shaking, I know that, but I mean, somebody knows.
We have a roadmap.
Somebody in our government knows.
We have a roadmap for
How
the
many people,
closures.
maybe they'll know by the end of March, how many people will have lost.
I would agree with that. And we might
It's
be
just
able to
kind of
ask
weird
them.
that nobody knows.
We have a roadmap through spring of 19 for the slated office closures. So our
So it is
director Cadis didn't, yeah.
But some of the bigger impacts are gonna be felt this tax season because part of our cuts were, no printing of any tax booklets, period, the end. There's no paper tax booklets. If you're looking for one, forget it, they're not printing them. So, and there's gonna be no filing on our website anymore. They shut that down. So you have to go to a free file service. So those are things that people are gonna start feeling in the next 3 months.
Well, and you're not gonna
You
have
can't go to
any
the
temps
library,
coming
there's
in
no
to help.
forms. There's
So
no
people
forms
are gonna
anywhere.
get their return, their.
Even the amount of scanning for income tax time and stuff is huge.
They basically don't want paper returns, they want electronic.
I filed already.
Good
job,
yay!
They-
We're not caught in the wheel that's coming.
What happened with the W-2s? They were gone and then they're back.
We're not even accepting returns yet.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I thought so.
Tab wasn't shut off because when you bought it,
Only
shut
two.
off because
2%.
2% of e-file people use it, it's not, it makes no sense to maintain it.
I used to use it. Yeah, I think there's a lot more.
So Susan Osted would like to say something.
Okay, just a quick little reminder that tomorrow is the Women's March. There's the
commemorating last year's
Saturday,
wonderful
isn't it?
march.
Saturday.
Saturday, I'm sorry.
You are retired.
Yes, I am.
Well, we had a Monday that we didn't do anything.
Yeah. Well, the march is gonna start at 11. I don't know exactly where they're gonna march around, but, they're gonna gather inside. We have the rotunda reserved. And there's gonna be probably 6 to 8 speakers, all talking about progressive issues. There's gonna be booths and tables, to pick up information, do some networking, maybe find someone who can help you with one of your issues that you're having with your
So quite a
stuff.
few of us in the room, Susan, are gonna be at the merger thing. which is
I know, from 11, exactly the same time.
Yes, we're 10 to 3.
Yeah, change it, no.
Beaver has his schedule before this,
Oh, no, January 20th, January 20th, we saw that since last year.
All right, okay.
One more thing.
One more little suggestion. No matter who I'm talking to, whether it's the Democrats or whatever, it's always, we can't convince the Republicans to change their mind about anything. So we got this gap of this bunch of people in the middle who are undecided or just don't vote. So wondering if you could put out a little blurb to all your members and encourage them all to get one person to register to vote. And at the bottom of the form, there's a little box you can check to have a mail ballot. And we'll just do it one person at a time. To heck with voting that decision in. We'll just all go mail ballots and ta-da.
Yeah, and I think we could encourage people to go register to vote and
Go
to
register
get a
to vote.
mail-in ballot, and I don't think that's a political thing at all.
Nope.
I don't think it
Nope.
would be. And if you are going to be meeting with your members, I think there are cards in every single county that sign people up to vote. You can hand those out at your meetings. I would encourage people to do that. Because the more union voice that we can do and getting your family to vote on our issues is the best thing you can possibly do. So I wanna leave a little bit of time for everybody to gab and drink some more, cause we still have some beer up here.
Drink some more.
And eat some more.
One quick announcement, and anybody online or if you're
Nice to meet
online,
you, Kimberly.
about coming, if they want to be a delegate, to get the name tomorrow morning.
Yeah, because we actually have our regular representative assembly, which is gonna be coming up April 6th and 7th for MEAMFT, so we would like you to participate in that. We also have regional training for, all of us, that's gonna be available in February 19th and 20th. 9th and 10th. So I would encourage everybody to take advantage of that as well. It's good
That's in
information.
Missoula.
Missoula,
Yeah,
yeah,
Missoula.
and it's awesome.
We're staying at Kim's house.
Awesome.
Right in my place.
Awesome information about the union, about what we do. There'll be some media training maybe, if we can get that set up.
Not at this one.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
There are. Should we go into-
It's been set, it's already talked to.
We're gonna try, because we think
The
that's.
next training session.
However, I do think Morgan is doing a door knocking academy, so if you want to learn how to do that, he's going to be grading on one of those.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. So, yeah, keep coming. We're gonna have lots more information. We'll be getting active in our community and continuing to work on the issues that are important to all of us.
Okay, see the stories, I can tell you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Boy, he got his own gun out.
Yeah.
We're good? I'm gonna close this down.
Thank you guys for having your
I was
thing on
nice.
Saturday, but
I was
exactly.